welcome back to the Artie Lange Show, talking with the legendary Cheech and Chong. And I wanted to say, we talked again about this today, how you guys were really, as far as edgy, Woodstock, drug-related comedy, whatever, you know, the Woodstock generation, comedy-wise, you know, Saturday Night Live gets a lot of credit for it and everything, and Carl and Richard Pryor, but you guys really were there before anybody. 1973, you win a Grammy for this type of comedy, which is a couple years before SNL even gets on.
Well, we worked clubs that nobody else, the Smothers Brothers owned a club in Manhattan Beach.
Right.
They wouldn't even work it. They owned it. They wouldn't work on it. In fact, they told everybody, you can't do comedy there.
Why? Why was it just like
it was a beer joint.
Okay.
A beer joint, like a sports bar. Yeah. And Cheech and I worked there every Saturday for how many?
Sunday.
Every Sunday for how
long?
Long time.
Yeah, long time.
No
but
kidding.
That's why we got into.
And even they wouldn't go with it because they were mainstream on TV.
Yeah,
and
well, they needed everybody to be quiet, sit down, everything.
Right.
And with us, you could walk around and do whatever you wanted to do and
just
not
let it
miss
loose.
anything.
Yeah, let it loose.
Some straight actors come to see our show, you know, that they do plays and stuff, and they go, how can you do it when there's so much noise in the light? What noise?
You got used to it.
When we started, I mean, part of the ambience of the club was some guy getting thrown down the stairs.
Yeah.
And you could hear the bam, boom, crash.
Oh, no.
So the laughter you guys must have gotten when a crowd really was hip to what you were doing.
It was real.
Yeah, it was like oh my God, somebody's talking for us finally. Right?
Sometimes the laughter would just keep going.
Yeah.
You know, you know how it is. You
Sure,
hit
yeah,
something
if it's
funny,
going good.
something funny, and because those guys, when it's funny, they laugh.
Yeah.
But when it's not, they get insulted.
There's no gray area.
It's like doing prisons. We did a lot of prisons.
Yeah.
Yeah, now describe that. I mean, that must have been nuts.
You know, they're not an easy audience, man. We did Quentin and and
we did San Quentin. We did San Quentin, and they didn't search. They didn't search us when we come into with our
searched when you went out?
They didn't search us, and so and we didn't tell them what bit we were doing or anything. And there's one bit that we were doing at the time where I play an evangelist. And I get a girl out of the audience. And I'm going to save this young lady. I'm going to save her soul. Yes, I'm going to save her. And so at the right time, Cheech comes running out dressed like a samurai warrior with a sword. And he goes, and he goes at her. I pull out a .45 with blanks in it.
Oh, man.
And I shoot him dead.
Oh.
I said, you have been saved.
They must have freaked.
Can you imagine the prison? It got real quiet.
he comes up and it went deathly silent, man.
Oh, God.
And 3 guards jumped in, man.
Did they really?
Bang, bang, bang.
Really?
Well, they got the gun.
Ballsy,
they got the gun. And then they said, and then the show kept going. And actually, they got me backstage. They didn't get me on the stage. They got me backstage, and they freaked out. And then now they're searching our bags. And they're finding all kinds of pot and crap that we forgot about. And they didn't care. They just had no pot and any weapons. That's all they were looking for.
The thing that set it off is that we got invited into Quentin. We did a lot of prisons, but Quentin and by the Hells Angels. So there's a group of them all went in together for
right.
And they were running the prison.
Yeah, and they were and they were multiple rape or murder, whatever it was. And so we went in there with a band and 3 topless dancers. They couldn't get topless, but it was their girlfriends who were strippers.
Ginger was the main one.
And so when you can follow naked women in San Quentin, you got a heavy act. You know?
Yeah, you're right.
And so the thing that set it off when I jumped out of the curtain, the Ginger let out this blood-curdling scream. And everybody, and then he shoots me, bam, and the prisoners didn't know what to do because all they're thinking is, how do I get that gun?
They're not even looking at the broad. They're like, how do I get the gun? I gotta get out of here. I mean, but that's the thing where and again, I've been doing stand-up for 25 years. I played every type of club there is, bowling alleys, bachelor parties. But you kill with the deck stacked like that at San Quentin. You could do anything.
One time we were playing.
What are you afraid of at that point?
We were playing Terminal Island Prison one time.
Oh,
the federal penitentiary.
Yeah.
Because Ayrton Moredo, who was our opening act, and his wife Flora Purim she was doing time there because she got some big coke bust and blah blah blah. She was there, so we came in to do a show for him. It's a federal pen, and we're in the middle of the show, and the lights go out.
Yeah.
Man, it goes dark. And
What was your line?
I said, well, it's nice to play here at the Apollo Theater.
Yes.
But again, deathly quiet.
Oh.
Because they didn't know what the heck was going to come down, man. We played Chino.
Yeah, you know,
Chino, man.
I mean, Cheech, I did time with the guy, the Lonnie, the costume guy, the clothing guy. He was at Terminal Island
Was he
when that happened.
When we were there?
Was he in the crowd?
He was in the crowd.
Oh,
he was
he
in the
was?
audience. He was in the audience, and he remembers that blackout. But around that time, they were sneaking acid into
Timothy Leary.
Terminal.
Timothy Leary was there at the time.
Well, they were sneaking acid in, and what they would do, they would send magazines, and they would dose the subscription little card in there.
Oh, really?
They'd dose the card, and so the prisoners were dosing themselves with acid.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And then they were acting crazy. Like, they were going out. One prisoner went out in the middle of the yard, started howling at the moon.
This is in Chino?
No, this is in Terminal Island.
Terminal Island.
And the guards all put the guns on him. And the guys howling.
Could you imagine? You already got guys that are that nuts. They're in Terminal Island, not on acid.
Yeah, they're on acid. It changed the whole system of magazines. You can't get a magazine with a cover on it,
Right.
or a subscription.
I don't know if I'd want to take acid in prison.
No, man.
That would kind of be the
Again,
last
I did a week in LA County Jail, and I don't. The acid's not a drug that would help your situation.
If you're in there for years, you'd be glad.
Whatever, yeah.
to.
It's something. Well, anything to change your mind.
Yeah.
But so now, after you go through that in your career, and then you get into the world of movies, like. Talk about culture shock. I mean, and then now you're world famous. You're making money, and like describe that turnaround. How
Well,
big of
we were making money before. We were big record sellers.
Right.
We had 3 #1 albums in a row. And we sold out tours.
Gold records. Yeah.
Gold records.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And then we started making movies. And, the thing is, we mined that thing, and then the movies, the records start going down, concerts, and then right at about that point, we hit movies and right back up again, and it was like a whole different deal. And then we made one movie after another. We'd be in post-production and pre-production always.
You guys were busy as hell. I didn't know.